vaccination space, and checkout and resting area. Those eligible in the Phase 1A category book their appointments in advance. Officials say this was a significant undertaking, but they're more than happy to do their part.
Our entire team here today is so energized to help be part of a solution, to really do something. We've all just been chomping at the bit to try and help in some way.
We've been a longtime partner, and everybody jumped in. They saw what was happening with PNC Park and the Pirates, and they felt that we could reach another audience by doing this.
And the AHN Dick's COVID-19 vaccination clinic runs until 6 o'clock tonight. I'm now talking with patients on the receiving end of the shot, their guidance to others who are trying to book appointments, and further suggestions for Channel 11 News starting at 5 o'clock tonight. Reporting in Coriopolis, Mike Holden, Channel 11 News.
Mike, thanks. And it's day 4 of the clinic at Heinz Field, and more spots have finally opened up. So there has been such an overwhelming response to this week's clinic. They added clinics for Monday and Tuesday. You can make an appointment on Giant Eagle's website this afternoon. A time on when scheduling will start hasn't been announced just yet, so be sure to keep a watch on the website. Those spots certainly, as you know, go very fast. So this is also for the Phase 1A category. Another vaccine shipment is expected, and then that could open up more appointments for next Wednesday. We have the link to the scheduling tool up for you right now on the homepage of the WPXI News app. And the latest now on COVID cases. In just the past hour, the Allegheny County Health Department released an update. It says it has learned of 288 new cases since yesterday. Health officials are also reporting 9 additional deaths. After importing cases from the state system, 2 of the deaths are recent. And the Catholic Church, meantime, is urging people to get vaccinated, even if they have to get the Johnson & Johnson shot. So bishops say if you have a choice, though, Catholics should avoid the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We first told you about this a few days ago. A group of Catholic bishops urged the faithful to stay away from that particular shot because it apparently uses cell lines developed from aborted fetuses. State numbers show more than 10% of white Pennsylvanians have been vaccinated compared to just 2.9% of black Pennsylvanians. Now, there are calls for state and local leaders to address this issue head on. The Black Political Empowerment Project tells Channel 11's Gabriella DeLuca that it starts with bringing clinics into black communities.
A leader in Pittsburgh's black community is reaching out to local and state leaders, wanting African Americans to have more accessibility when it comes to receiving the COVID-19 vaccine.
Be proactive and creative in solving this issue. We do not need to be left behind.
Tim Stevens with the Black Political Empowerment Project wants more black Americans in Pittsburgh to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. In getting his message across, he sent a letter to state and local leadership with his wishes.
They do what they need to do to provide equity in how vaccinations are given out, and go out of their way to find activities and that will lead to African Americans getting the vaccination.
According to Stevens, part of that includes setting up vaccination clinics in predominantly black neighborhoods in Pittsburgh.
So we're going to have to be creative about this and having vaccinations within predominantly African American communities, where those who live in those communities can even walk or maybe take a short bus trip.
Which is something that the county has already done. So far, they've partnered with companies to provide clinics in the Hill District and in Homewood. Plus, they gave vaccines to senior housing in black communities. But the problem that persists all over the state is lack of supply.
We continue to pursue as many innovative strategies as possible, and we'll be able to do that even more and more to reach all communities effectively once we have a more steady supply and more predictability.
Stevens also touched on the lack of trust that African Americans often have with the government.
None of us will forget the Satinki incident, tragedy where blacks were infected with diseases. It is in our interest to take the vaccinations because we of color are the ones being infected by COVID-19 at a rate more than anyone else.
Stevens also sent the letter to the governor. I, too, reached out to the governor's office to see if they had a response, but so far we have yet to hear back. Reporting in Troy Hill, Gabriella DeLuca, Channel 11 News.
Gabrielle, thanks. And some sun out there. A little deceiving, though. Still a pretty chilly day. You're going to want to grab your coat. Let's head on over to meteorologist Jessica Faith in Severe Weather Center 11.
Yeah, we're very cold this midday and also seeing more cloud cover this midday. You see it right here, the clouds in the horizon. Still a good bit of sunshine coming in. More sun, though, farther toward the south and east, especially south and west, rather. Washington, Uniontown getting more sun. Also portions of Greene County, but getting a good bit of cloud cover for the centralmost portion of our area, even getting just a few snow showers out there. So you see it moved in from the northwest, moving toward the southeast. So moved from Mercer County, Lawrence County, snowing through Butler, Armstrong County, even a few spots there in Westmoreland County and in Indiana County. Kind of missing Pittsburgh, but I can imagine just a few tiny flurries may be seen in the area. Taking a look at the temperatures, mostly below freezing this midday. 31 degrees current temperature in Pittsburgh. The current temperature in Washington, 31, but it feels a lot colder. I'm going to talk more about the wind chill forecast for the rest of the day and the wind gust and show you how strong the winds will be today.
All right, Jessica, thanks. And we are working to find out how a driver is doing after a crash in Pine Township. This was the scene you're looking at here along Warrendale Road just before 2 o'clock this morning. We're told a driver lost control, hit a utility pole, and then ended up in a ditch. You can see there is a lot of damage to that vehicle there. We're told the driver was taken to the hospital as wires were left dangling over that road, and some neighbors did lose power.
We're so concerned about her. We love her so much, and we're hoping that somebody may have seen her.
A family is making a desperate plea for help after their daughter, a local woman, disappeared. Police say she might be in danger. Her name is Olivia Zane, and she's 23 years old. Her family drove up from North Carolina after they found out she was missing here locally. Now, you might notice some of these posters with her picture up around town. Nobody apparently has seen or heard from her since she left her apartment in North Oakland on Tuesday night.
If anybody out there can help us, end this agony, we will be forever grateful.
Oh, and here's a little bit more about Olivia Zane. She works in the computer science department at Carnegie Mellon, and she's in North Oakland and Squirrel Hill a lot. Police say her cell phone was last pinged in the Homestead area, but her parents can't figure out why. And meantime, Target 11 told you more than a dozen Pittsburgh police officers were accused of drinking on the job, and now the mayor is weighing in for the first time. So you may remember this happened on election night while the officers were still on the clock. Extra officers had been brought in because of the potential for protests, but it turned out to be quiet, and so some of those officers were sent home early. But apparently 17 of them went to the bar.
The fact that they were on duty inside of a bar at the same time raises major flags about much more than an incident. It raises flags about conduct in general.
All right, now the city is still working out how they'll be disciplined. We'll keep you posted. And a local woman is facing new charges for her alleged role in the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. A grand jury in Washington, D.C. indicted Rachel Powell of Mercer County. She's charged with committing an act of physical violence in the Capitol grounds or buildings, among other offenses. Now, officials said Powell appeared to have inside knowledge of the layout of the Capitol grounds and was telling other rioters what to do and where to go. She is right now on home confinement. And the U.S. Senate has finished debate on the president's COVID-19 relief deal. A final vote isn't likely for many hours, but stimulus checks are a step closer. Our Jacqueline Fell is in Washington, where a marathon session is underway.
Senate leaders say there will be a vote on this nearly $2 trillion plan before next week. Today, senators are able to add amendments to the relief package. This could take most of the day, if not longer. The bill calls for $1,400 stimulus checks for most Americans, extended unemployment benefits, help for renters, and money for schools, states, and vaccines. Democrats say it's what's needed right now. Republicans say it's too costly, partisan, and full of things that aren't related to the pandemic.
It will help American families stay in their homes, care for their children, put food on the table.
This isn't a pandemic rescue package. It's a parade of left-wing pet projects that are ramming through. They're ramming through during a pandemic.
One delay tactic used yesterday caused Senate clerks to read the entire 628-page bill. It took nearly 11 hours as the Senate stayed in session well into the night. When it comes time to vote, the bill is expected to pass along party lines, with the vice president coming in to be a tiebreaker. This deal is likely to become law without one Republican lawmaker supporting it. In Washington, Jacqueline Fell, Channel 11 News.
And the United Steelworkers Union is counting votes to see if they'll authorize a strike. Union members voted earlier this week, and their contract with ATI had expired last weekend and no new agreement was signed. If they get enough votes to strike, it would be up to the International Union to set a strike date. Meantime, Pope Francis is in Iraq for the first day of his historic 4-day visit to the country. Francis is breaking his year-long COVID-19 lockdown to urge the country's dwindling number of Christians to stay put and help rebuild the country. He also plans to pray in the Baghdad church that was the site of one of the worst massacres of Christians. The visit marks the first time a pontiff has made a trip to Iraq. And with recent tensions and rocket strikes, security is extremely tight there. Counter-terrorist forces have set up checkpoints in Baghdad's main streets, and a curfew was put in place by Iraq's government. With 18 million Americans receiving some kind of jobless benefit, people, of course, need help. Well, up next, Pittsburgh's plan to give out money, no strings attached. Plus, the Penguins edited face masks onto a photo showing fans who wore them the wrong way. Coming up, the angry responses it's prompted.
The wind has a bit of a bite today, making it feel a lot colder. Coming up next, I'm showing you the wind chills and what to expect for the rest of your Friday.
We can safely manage these things and we're able to play.
Next, why some high school athletes may be allowed to ditch their face masks this spring. And we're following breaking news right now. As of midnight tonight, West Virginia restaurants and bars will be open to 100% capacity. The governor also is announcing capacity limits will be lifted on all other small businesses. Governor Jim Justice says they will all have to follow social distancing, though, and he says the mask mandate stays in place.
I am very hopeful that we can get rid of these crazy masks because, you know, we all know we don't want to wear the mask. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And as we continue to vaccinate more and more and more, we'll get rid of the mask. But I don't know really what the big rush to get rid of the mask is because these masks have saved a lot of lives.
And meantime, here in Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf announced changes to event capacity limits and travel restrictions earlier this week, but he warned strict mitigation rules that are still in place in other ways must be followed. And it won't be long before high school athletes are back on the baseball and softball fields. Channel 11's Jillian Hartman found out, though, they may not be required to wear face masks.
Well, I think we can all picture what a baseball field looks like with a team spread out. Great for social distancing, but many tell me there are challenges like at first base and home plate.
Home plate, you've got a catcher, an umpire, and a batter all within 6 feet of each other. First base, you have just the first baseman until there's a runner on.
That could be the one hang-up to keeping student athletes safe in outdoor sports this spring. Don Hall is the athletic director for Gateway School District. He believes one solution is players wearing gator masks to pull up and down. As for umpires, they're required to wear a face covering under the COVID-19 guidelines the PIAA just released for spring sports. But others are looking at another takeaway from those guidelines. Athletes and coaches don't need to wear masks when outside and 6 feet apart.
Right now, I think everybody is in a place where we're confident after 2 sports seasons that we can safely manage these things and we're able to play.
Even with the PIAA guidelines, it's still up to each school district to decide if it wants masks, which could cause another mask dilemma like we just saw in basketball.
I think there always is a chance because there are going to be many different school boards and school district administrations and solicitors who have to consider the issue for their own district.
One sport could be an exception to all of this, lacrosse. The PIAA said with helmets and mouth guards, it may be unsafe for lacrosse players to also wear masks. Now here's a list of all the high school spring sports. I did ask Hall if track and field will be difficult to manage.
It can be a little bit of a crowd depending on the size of the roster, but obviously we're asking them to wear their masks all the time except when they're competing and to stay physically distant whenever they can.
Now, as for parents, the PIAA is allowing some fans at spring sporting events. The season will start officially on Monday, March 8th. Reporting in Cranberry Township, I'm Jillian Hartman, Channel 11 News.
Meantime, the Penguins are at the center of a Photoshop controversy. People on social media lashed out after an employee altered a picture of fans wearing face masks. So the picture, as you can see, it shows roughly 20 fans cheering in the stands at Tuesday's game at PPG Paints Arena. Most of them were wearing the masks properly, but a few had masks below their noses. One was not wearing a mask at all. And so the Pens had to issue a statement. It says, while perhaps well-intended, the staffer should not have altered the photo, and it was a violation of the team's social media and safety policy. The staffer has been disciplined.
Your severe winter Team 11 forecast.
Temperatures right now this midday below freezing for a lot of spots. Really hard to believe that we are 15 days away from the first day of spring and our temperatures are suffering as they are. That's because we're still holding on to that cold air from that cold front that passed Wednesday night, bringing in that northwesterly flow, bringing in that colder air. And right now we're at 31 in Pittsburgh, 31 in Washington, 30 degrees also below freezing there in Butler. Temperatures will be on the cool side throughout the rest of the day. And when you factor in the wind, it's going to feel a lot colder. I mentioned that northwesterly flow. That's going to continue to be a factor in how cold it feels and also just very breezy by itself. I mean, check it out. Very strong this afternoon, around 30 miles per hour for the wind gust, coming in with a sustained wind around 15 miles per hour. So expect a very breezy day. For the most part, a dry day. Still a few snow showers here and there. Lighter winds tonight, but if you are going to be outside later tonight, it will still play a role in how cold it feels. I'm going to show you that right now on our wind chill forecast. So within the next few hours, usually where we see our peak of the daytime heating, 3, 4 o'clock. We'll see wind chills in the 20s, even though today's highs will be in the upper 30s. Still feeling very cold later this evening. If you have any evening plans, please bundle up. We will have wind chill values in the teens sometime after sunset. You can feel like 19 degrees in Katanning around 7 o'clock, 17 degrees for the wind chill in Indiana. Later tonight, kind of trending colder, and we're looking at a very cold start to the day for tomorrow morning. Coming up in the next half hour, I'll show you that, just how cold it's going to be. And you'll want to see that, especially if you have an early start to the day tomorrow, but at least our temperatures looking milder for the afternoon high this weekend. Also plenty of sunshine. It'll be really nice to get outside, especially during the afternoon hours this weekend. Maybe just want to go for a walk, get some fresh air, get some sunlight. It's been very cold the past few days. Well, today and yesterday, even though we did have a nice day earlier this week, we'll have more of that this weekend. 40 degrees for the high, paired with the sunshine, dry conditions for Saturday. Again, cold overnight, but rebounding into the 40s, around 42 degrees. As far as our temperatures are concerned, we are really trending in the right direction. First day of spring, March 20th. Average high 51. Going to April 20th, our average high 63. Just something to give you to look forward to there. Also looking forward to the beginning of the new work week. We'll be back into the 50s, still looking dry, still looking sunny on Monday. A mix of sun and clouds, but warmer. About 20 degrees warmer than the high today. 58 degrees for the high on Tuesday.
I like those Tuesday temperatures, Jessica. Thanks. Well, Major League Baseball is finally giving players in the Negro League their due.
We always consider our descendants as major leaguers already.
The role Pittsburgh played in the recognition.
The home has now been turned into a gym, an office, a playground, and a school.
Unsafe at home, the type of serious injuries that have skyrocketed in the past year. Well, from fireworks to skateboards, a new report shows more people are getting hurt by items found right in their homes. The report from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission showed ER visits are down from last March, but injuries from certain items and activities went up. So numbers of those hurt from fireworks and flares were up 56%, but people hurt on skateboards, scooters, and hoverboards went up 39%. And hospital visits related to button-sized batteries rose 93% among young children.
It's that combination of factors, distraction, all these multitasking that's being done, and everyone in the house that sets up a greater exposure for risk in the house.
And the commission says it's also important to always have the number to poison control. So just in case you don't have it, it is 800-222-1222. And if you've been through Homewood, you probably know the Art House. It's hard to miss, and there's a GoFundMe campaign now to try to save it after it was badly damaged in a fire. The Creative Community Center is in a century-old house, and the woman who runs it started a campaign to raise repairs and has already raised $120,000 at this point. Now, the GoFundMe has been flooded with donations from as far away as Africa. She says the outpouring of support has been incredible. Meantime, a woman has earned the highest rank for a female firefighter within the Pittsburgh department. Carrie Burnham was just promoted to lieutenant. New EMTs and paramedics were also sworn in during a ceremony at the convention center.
We're very cool this midday, but in days ahead, we are looking drier and warmer. I have the details you need to know coming up in my 5-day forecast in the next half hour.
And with 18 million Americans receiving some kind of jobless benefit, people need help. Up next, Pittsburgh's plan to give out money, no strings attached. sun out there today, but still pretty chilly. A lot of strong wind gusts. Going to head over to Jessica Faith. Jessica, folks will probably want to grab a coat if they head on out today.
Yeah, all throughout the rest of the day, because we are looking at very cold temperatures well below average for today. Still having that cold air in place from a few days ago, that cold front on Wednesday night. And you see it right here. Temperatures most in the lower 30s. We do have upper 20s, 28 in Greensburg. Going throughout the afternoon, we'll get into the upper 30s today and then quickly dropping past sunset. Again, below average, our average high for this time of year, 44 degrees. Coming up, we're going to talk about how cold it's going to be tomorrow morning and where we could see single-digit wind chill values in the morning.
Jessica, thanks. And as we continue with the path to recovery, we're of course monitoring the economy as well, and it's still struggling, as you can imagine. 745,000 Americans filed for jobless benefits for the first time last week. To put that into perspective, before the pandemic, that figure never exceeded 660,000. But about 18 million Americans are now receiving some kind of benefit. And with so many people looking for help, Pittsburgh is trying a new approach. As Channel 11's Rick Earl explains, the city is handing out money.
Pittsburgh is one of 30 cities across the country participating in a pilot program that provides free money to families struggling financially.
The best way to break the cycles of poverty is to give people money.
Here in Pittsburgh, 100 low-income African-American women who are working and have families will receive $500 every month for 2 years, no strings attached, and no tax dollars will be used. It's all coming from donations.
We're looking at local foundations and local corporations to be able to help to raise the additional $2.5 million.
The founder of Twitter already chipped in $600,000. A similar program in Stockton, California, the mayor says led to dramatic results. Researchers compared families who received monthly payouts to families who didn't, and the results showed families receiving the free money spent it on essentials like food, utilities, and gas. Less than 1% went to cigarettes and alcohol. And the study also revealed that more people receiving those payments got jobs.
A lot of people said it would be a disincentive to work. That was proved to be wrong. People are actually working more with the money, not less.
And the mayor says participating families will be compared to a control group that doesn't receive the free money. He hopes the results will ultimately lead to major reforms in Washington, D.C.
There's about 35 mayors right now that are very anxious to be able to create that model, to be able to go to Washington and to show now it's your turn.
And the mayor says he needs to raise about $3 million. He says as soon as he gets the commitments, he will launch the program. In Homewood, Rick Earl, Channel 11 News.
And some good job news now. The Allegheny County Port Authority is looking to hire bus drivers, and the pay is more than $21 an hour after training. If you're interested in applying, we have a link for you on the WPXI News app. And the Pittsburgh Public School District is facing some difficult decisions. They have to find a way to close a $39 million budget deficit. School leaders worry about a loss of revenue and funding due to the pandemic. 12 Pittsburgh schools are operating under half capacity. 40 schools are running between 50% and 80% capacity, and leaders say that's where some tough choices might have to be made.
Looking at our staffing in our schools, looking at how we're allocating resources in our schools to see if there's any way that we could try to trim that down without sacrificing programming to kids.
Some parents have been vocal against a plan that would see certain schools close. More meetings are planned throughout the month. We'll keep you posted. And more than half of students in the Penn Hills School District are opting to return to the classroom. The majority of families opted to send students to the classroom 4 days a week. A principal told our Trib partners everyone missed being in class, and he thinks students missed it more than anybody. The district gave all students the option to return March 1st. Students can still do remote work, though, from home or go to class in a hybrid model if they choose. Police in Tarentum will be able to use their own rifles on the job. Council approved that plan this week. They told the Trib officers are more comfortable handling their own weapons. They say they use their own money to make upgrades with lights, lasers, and sights. And under the policy, the police chief would inspect the guns every year. And the latest now on plans to merge Edinboro, Clarion, and Cal U. All of the universities have submitted a preliminary form that describes plans to consolidate. There are a lot of moving parts to merging schools. It's looking like there will be one university with 3 campuses, and each would have its own name. Final plans will be presented to the Board of Governors for public comment next month.
So now is the right time to finally do the right thing.
Big names from Pittsburgh's 2 Negro League teams are now recognized as major leaguers. It's a change Major League Baseball recently announced, and many people say it is overdue. Channel 11's Jenna Harner spoke with the great-grandson of one of Pittsburgh's biggest Negro League stars.
When we talk about Black history, we don't want to talk about it just for 1 month. You know, we always talk about Black history 365 days a year. And Negro Leagues is included in that.
The story they tell is a story of hardworking people who lost but persevered, and in the end became among the best at what they did. The African American community has always been a part of that story.
Among them, Leroy Satchel Paige, Buck Leonard, and Pittsburgh's own Josh Gibson, known as the Black Babe Ruth. His great-grandson, Sean, still lives here and heads the Josh Gibson Foundation.
Some of these players had to stay in Black-owned hotels, had to eat at Black-owned restaurants. And so when the Negro Leagues diminished, a lot of those companies, organizations, and businesses diminished as well because there were not a lot of people supporting them.
During a time of segregation, the Negro Leagues in Pittsburgh provided the stage for Black athletes to succeed. Among its supporters was Steelers owner Art Rooney, who wanted to see African Americans thrive, both on and off the field.
That just goes to tell you what the Rooneys are all about. I mean, that's why we got the Rooney Rule. You know what I mean? He started it back then.
And it wasn't just the Steelers. The Pirates, too, led the way, taking strides to honor the legacy of the Negro Leagues well ahead of Major League Baseball.
They're the reason that every major league club will have nights honoring the Negro Leagues and teams playing in Negro League jerseys. Major League Baseball has been late to the game in recognizing and celebrating the history of Black baseball.
In December, that changed. The major announcement from the MLB stated it will now recognize the Negro Leagues as Major League. That means Negro League stats will now go into its record books.
We always consider our descendants as major leaguers already. Now it's just confirmed by Major League Baseball.
And Josh Gibson's legacy now may live in another way on the MVP award. MLB has decided to remove the name of former commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis from the award because he never integrated the leagues.
How ironic would it be for someone like a Josh Gibson who was denied and replace the same man who denied him? And so now it's the right time to finally do the right thing.
If the MVP award is named after Gibson, his family says it would be honoring so much more than just his legacy. It would be for all the players who didn't have the opportunity, thousands of men that Josh would be carrying on his shoulders for years to come. Jenna Harner, Channel 11 News.
Up next, a new push to provide service dogs for veterans, how they could help save lives. And the COVID vaccines are rolling on out, and the stimulus checks are closer to being passed. One more thing that can help the healing where America is slipping. Well, with all the focus on COVID vaccinations, it's easy to forget about COVID testing. While the CDC says the number of Americans getting tested for COVID-19 is falling. Our Blair Miller is finding out why.
The rapid decline in COVID-19 tests has health officials concerned. The COVID tracking project shows that since mid-January, tests have dropped significantly. Communities across the country are seeing a big dip in demand, so much so that some are closing testing sites or even attempting to return supplies. January 15th marked a peak in testing when the U.S. was averaging more than 2 million tests per day. But since then, the average number of daily tests has dropped a little more than 28%. COVID cases and hospitalizations do continue to go down as states receive an influx of vaccine doses, allowing them to ramp up vaccinations. These positive trends, along with harsh winter weather, the end of holiday travel season, pandemic fatigue, and the growing focus on vaccinations are causing Americans to lose interest in COVID testing. The resulting drop has health officials concerned. They say COVID tests are vital in controlling the pandemic. The CDC reports that America's death toll could climb as high as 564,000 by March 27th. That number is higher than the agency's last forecast. From the Washington News Bureau, I'm Blair Miller.
We're quite cold, especially with the wind in place. So how cold are we going to be as we go into the weekend? I have those details coming up.
Now, they say music can help healing. Up next, the new program helping patients through the pandemic. Well, music can be healing, and undergoing medical treatment can be isolating and stressful, feelings that have only increased during the pandemic. Well, now a nonprofit comprised of professional musicians is helping with that by bringing live music when it's needed most. NBC's Sarah Dolph has the inspirational story.
Itzkoff is used to performing in front of thousands. But during the pandemic, the American Modern Opera Company cellist has shifted.
Over here. Good to see you.
To audiences of one.
Hi, Wendy.
Listeners like Wendy Lawson, as she undergoes cancer treatment at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles.
If only for a temporary moment, their consciousness is taken away from feelings of sickness, of pain.
For Wendy, a ballet teacher versed in classical music, it's become a key connection.
I will ask him or request for him to play something specifically. And that's what's so lovely, is that, you know, you look forward to it now, as opposed to having that dread.
The virtual concerts are part of an initiative by nonprofit Project Music Heals Us, now offered in more than 20 hospitals across the country.
They're just so thrilled that this is an option now. That usually the only question is like, when can we start?
A lifeline for patients.
It just adds a level of ease, comfort.
And musicians whose livelihoods continue to be threatened by the pandemic. And proof of the power of music to unite. New York-based Coleman hopes to one day make the trip to California.
I really can't wait for that moment to happen.
I would first hug him, and then I would say, play for me.
A perfect ending note for a friendship forged in music. Sarah Dolph, NBC News.
Love that story. All right, meantime, a group of lawmakers are looking to pass a bill that would help veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. The bill has bipartisan support, and its goal is to help prevent suicides among vets by using service dogs. The VA does not currently fund them to treat PTSD, but one lawmaker says the VA should look beyond medication to treat the disorder.
At the end of the day, veterans deserve the full menu, and the providers should have a full menu of options, whether it's service dogs, whether it's hyperbaric chambers, whether it's different types of therapies.
A Florida-based charity also partnered with the congressman to support that bill.
Your severe winter Team 11 forecast.
We've seen clouds come and go today, and we're on the cloudier side of things this midday. Also on the cold side of things, we're in the 30s, 31 degrees. Now factor in the wind, we feel about 10 degrees colder. Check out this wind chill. Feels like 21. And we have some snow showers still in the area. Also, where you see the snow showers concentrated, that's where you also see that cloud cover. Less cloud cover, more sunshine around Washington. Also, as we go down toward Greene County there. But let's get a closer look at where we have some snow. Snow in portions of Venango, Butler County, and also kind of scattered through Armstrong County into portions of Westmoreland County as well. We'll hold on to just a few light snow showers into the afternoon. Not really very impactful. One thing that may have quite a bite will be the wind chill as we go throughout the rest of the day. Here is your wind chill forecast. You can expect temperatures to feel like we're in the lower 20s past sunset. As we go later into the evening and nighttime hours, still feeling like the lower 20s, even though the average high for today, 45 degrees, is going to feel much colder than that. Cold tonight, the actual air temperature, we're dropping back into the 20s, 23 degrees. Notice this wind. The wind will continue to come in from the northwest, spilling in that cold air, coming in quite strong at 10 to 15 miles per hour. That will also be a key player in how cold it feels for tomorrow morning. If you have an early start, you're going to want to see this. Check out the map. This is the wind chill forecast for tomorrow morning around 7 o'clock, so around the start of the day. And you'll notice that we do have a few single-digit wind chill values. So 8 degrees, that will be the wind chill. That will be the feels like temperature in Indiana. 9 degrees for the wind chill in Katanning, and 9 degrees for the wind chill in Newcastle. Even where you see the double digits here, still very cold. Feeling like 11 degrees at the start of the day in Pittsburgh, Greensburg, and in Beaver. So we're talking about some seriously cold air and strong winds to start the day tomorrow. Now, we do have some good news coming this weekend. We're talking about abundant sunshine, high pressure being the key player and allowing it to feel very nice, to look very beautiful. Temperatures to continue to rise as we roll throughout the next few days. So even though today's highs will be in the upper 30s, we get back into the 40s, lower 40s for Saturday and Sunday. Again, plenty of sunshine. Sunshine continues starting the new work week. So as we go into your Monday, temperatures getting into the lower 50s. Trending in the right direction. I think the best day, though, looks to be on Tuesday. Even though we'll see just a few more clouds, temperatures in the upper 50s. What a nice day. May want to make some plans to get outside and enjoy that at 58 degrees for the high on Tuesday.
Love it. Spring feeling closer and closer. Thanks, Jessica. All right, Bed Bath & Beyond is hoping its own in-house brands will help revitalize its business. It will launch 6 of its own brands in the next 6 months. The company also plans to launch at least 10 private labels in the next 2 years, while simultaneously remodeling about 450 stores. And now here's local steals and deals, Lisa Robertson.
Hey guys, I have something I guarantee you're gonna love, because let me tell you, I got this out of the packaging, I started trying it, and all of my people who work for me came up to the office and were like, hey, I need one of those. Hey, I want one of those. Hey, can I have one of those? What am I talking about? This is Reathlete. It's a company that I'm sure you've heard about. They're on social media. Everybody's talking about them. It's the hottest ticket because this concept of percussive therapy is one of the hottest concepts going right now. You're going to have your choice of some different models. We have the Deep 4, we have the Fold, and it's going to come with, by the way, different attachments, which I absolutely love. So this is one that you're going to charge. When you charge, you're going to find whatever attachment you want, and then you're going to decide where you want this therapy. Physical therapists started out using this. Professional sports trainers use this on professional athletes. Then the athletes were using it, and then personal trainers in gyms are using it. And this is what everybody's talking about. So now I have it in here, right? All charged. I'm going to hold this for a minute. Huh? This is percussive therapy. This is almost like a deep tissue, but you're controlling it. This is going to be an unbelievable pinpoint massage. You know how you get all the tension right up here? Wait, hold on. Oh my, yeah. I'm sorry, am I ignoring you? So this is amazing. Now, there's a lot of great options on localsteals.com. There's even more great options than what I'm showing you here. But here's the deal. You wake up funny, you sit too long, your back hurts, you overdid it in the gym. Anyone would love this. Everyone would love this. You can do this while you're watching TV. You can do this anytime, day or night. Here's what I love. These can be extremely investment oriented. If you go to localsteals.com right now, they're 20 to 44% off. Do yourself a favor, make yourself happy. Trust me, you will love it.
The label wrapped around Hershey's chocolate bars will soon take on a new look. The company says it will honor women and girls with a small batch of bars highlighting the she in Hershey. The limited edition bars will be handed out at Hershey's locations next Monday, which is International Women's Day. While the ribbon has been cut and Pittsburgh's historic Strip District terminal is already seeing success. The building is nearly 100 years old. We've followed the project since the very beginning, and our partners at the Trib now report that the terminal has already been bustling with people. You can now buy plants, candles, and locally made crafts. You can shop at the liquor store or even take golf lessons. And yesterday it was Juju playing tug of war with a lion, and today we have these pictures of TJ Watt and his brother JJ recovering from a workout with a dip in a frozen lake in Wisconsin. The NFL stars cut a hole in the ice and then relaxed in the ice-cold water. That is not my way of relaxing, but to each their own. And that's all for Channel 11 News at noon. Our next newscast is tonight at 5. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day.